Alright, there we go. Sorry, I'm a little gabby today with this. Oh, it's this motherfucker. He's back. I am so close to reporting you halfway. Though the last plant you gave me has made my skin itch furiously. I'll have your little shop shut down and torn to the ground if you don't make this right. I need to be careful. Think carefully on which plant to go here. My actions could have consequences. I think I can make him have amnesia at one point, so often found growing in clumps on the valley side. Has been used for centuries for a cure of all manner of skin rashes. Beautiful flower. It looks unpleasant, but touching the flowers of exception will result in painful sores. He's one of those characters that if he dies, it's not an issue. It sounds horrible, but his death matters not. I think it's this one. We're gonna give him some skin whelps because he is an asshole. I think I can make him forget that he did these, that he was in here. But yeah, I deserve a little bit of redemption. Okay, like, can't blame me. He's a jerk. What can I help? What can I say? He mishandled the plant. I kind of wish you could just tell him he mishandled the plant. Because that's why he got the rash and stuff. The book, both fascinated and terrified her in equal measure. And after studying it for some time, she reached a decision. She would never use the power she had discovered. She would hide the book where it could never be found. Okay. How'd that work for you? Because, I'm just asking, just curious, just wondering. North. Okay. Yeah, this is this one, I think, right? It's north of this, south of here. Yeah, it's like right here, right? Remember correctly? Yeah! I couldn't remember if I switched these two around. My eyes are drawn to a silhouette of the grizzled old man standing at the edge of the field. His mind is broken, seeming beyond be repaired. Vacant eyes fixed on nothing. A whisper of an expression as my gaze sweeps his face. But only a whisper. He raises his arms, points. I follow his outstretched finger, and I am surprised to find a cluster of wildflowers growing there, hidden from view. Dun, dun, dun. My cat is moving my plants around. Disrespectful little freeloader. It's weird. I also think it's interesting that when you first start out, you noticed him moving things around more, but after that, you don't notice him as much moving things around. All right, you need to wake up, kitty cat. We got work to do. It's looking for a plant. Lady of what's something or other. Lady of Summer. I'm no green-eyed Darius, that's for sure. My mind isn't at all what it used to be. It's the one that's supposed to help with mental decline. Yeah, it's this beautiful one. It's nice and blue and pretty. But as I said, there's the law says that you can't, in my like state and stuff, so that you can't work if you're under age of 16 unless you are like the breadwinner or that your income is important. My hometown was a very poor location or a poor area, so it really wasn't hard to prove because almost most households needed like 3 incomes to be able to afford all of them to have insurances and coverages. Otherwise, you have people basically just paying their bills and not having like insurance for doctors and dentists and all that. So it wasn't necessarily unusual, but my family made a decent amount of money to at least survive. My parents didn't like the idea of making us kids do any kind of job until we were ready to work. I think my first job was like 18 or something. 18, 19, something like that. But yeah, because of that, a lot of kids volunteered for jobs in town, so that they could get the experience, and then when they were old enough, they would actually be paid. Minus farmers, because a lot of farmer families would start off giving their kids allowances for their tasks, but it really wasn't pay because they were benefiting from the farm. That was their argument. They benefited from the family thing. So, it was a farming area. It was what it was. No one really batted an eyelash at it. There was a few people who'd come from cities and stuff saying, it's awful that you make your kids help with the cattle farm when they're cattle ranchers. It's like, it is what it is. A lot of the kids in my school that actually were working for cattle ranchers, they're like, well, this is a job I'm going to inherit from my parent. I need to know how to do it anyways. But also some of them were just like, it's the family trade. Like, we have to help out. It's just easier if my dad has me baling hay than it is to pay some kid in town to bale hay, especially since some of the tasks that my classmates were doing were small things. I know that a lot of them, when it came to like tractors and stuff, their parents were very careful about not giving them access to like the big equipment until they were like 16. Like, for instance, I had a classmate who, his dad had like this, he called it a tractor, but it wasn't a tractor. It was a lawnmower. And he was allowed to use the lawnmower at a relatively, like, I think at 16. He let him use the lawnmower that's a riding lawnmower. At that point, he'd only have him do a push mower. Right? When he got to be 16, he got to drive the little lawnmower in the yard. And for a little bit, that's what he used. And then they had the four-wheelers and stuff. So he let his son go up the ranks as he got older. When he was about 18 or 20, one of the two, he let him do the big, like, farming tractor with supervised, like, watching. He watched him for, like, 2 years doing this because he didn't want him to do it by himself. And he went through the safety and stuff. But like I said, he did it within reason. And he upped his, like, learning as he went along. He didn't want him handling any big equipment by himself. And definitely not as a young man. So he was always supervising from the front porch. And he said that one of his dad was also, when he was, like, I think this one I definitely know he was, like, 20 or something. When this was happening, he was like 19 going on 20, like he was going on 20 like in a few months, and he was talking about the story about how his dad makes him feel safe because he was out there using the tractor. His dad had helped him hooked it up because it's just faster for two of them to do it. And he was out there just plowing stuff, and his dad was at the house with bird binoculars watching him do it. And he waves at his dad, and his dad just flips him off. And then he waves back anyways because they're just joking and they're teasing and stuff, just being typical, farmers and stuff, joking around. But he said it really made him happy because he was telling the story to the teacher about how his dad's such a cool dude and how his dad trusts him but still cares about him. Because the discussion came in because one of our classmates came in complaining about how her mom is so protective and stuff. And then a lot of classmates started talking about, like, it was just a casual conversation between students about how our parents do different things to protect it. Because the teacher was trying to, like, get the kid to understand that her mom wasn't doing these things to be mean to her. She was trying to get her kid to see the dangers. And then when she started seeing how all the other kids' parents were protective too, it made her feel a little better, because obviously the kids were like, yeah, it sucks, but our parents are just doing it because they love us. Because she was telling her daughter she couldn't go out with her friends one night for shopping. And one of the classmates says, well, it's probably because it's late and dangerous, and she probably doesn't know that family that well, and all this other stuff. We played devil's advocate for it. And it made her feel better, though, because it made her at least feel understood. But he started his story about how his dad, he's an adult by this point, or coming up to be an adult. Technically, legally, he's an adult. But he goes, but he's like an adult, and his dad still watches him with binoculars while he's plowing, because he doesn't want him to get hurt. Because he said that it doesn't take very long. He's like, I can fall off that tractor, get ran over by part of it. He's like, even if I get ran over by one wheel, he's like, it's dangerous, right? But it was, so like in my hometown, it was really hard to get jobs until you were ready. But a lot of them did volunteer and apprenticeships to kind of learn a skill so that they could kind of get into the workforce better. It's a small town. Everybody knew each other. Anyways, they're saying the Abbey has been killed. Yeah, we heard about that. We saw her body not too long ago. I know a lot of people don't trust that sisterhood, but it seemed to me that the Abbey was always looking out for the less fortunate. Yeah, that's fair. Oftentimes it is the person who is looking for everyone else that never sees the knife coming. It's another good reason not to be a people pleaser too much. Gotta have your limitations. The cold is too much to bear beyond the gap. I was forced to turn back. Would advise against it, but if you are determined to explore Great Gabe, be sure to take precautions. Knowing you, I'm sure you will have a plant up your sleeve that can keep you warm should the weather turn against you. Yes, we have the plant. Where is he? There he is. The one who stumped me forever because it didn't make sense that he keeps me warm because he's just a leafy thing. I still think the candle one makes more sense. After several hours of arboriously hiking and scrambling, I am still some distance from the summit. I am freezing cold and ready to head home. I should do the sensible thing and turn back down the mountain unless... We aren't sensible here. Are you serious? Psst, girl. We don't do sensible things here. I push on, no longer feeling the cold, and I am presently rewarded. Yeah, with a dead plant. It's not dead, but it's close enough. It basically could be. Yes, give me this. I kind of wish that when I named it, it would just immediately go back to where it's at. I probably could just make that not happen by pulling it down and then naming it. Hello, my boy. Poor baby, I'm so sorry. This plant is cursed. It has brought me nothing but sorrow. Why do you want me to have it? Please take it. I want nothing more to do with it. Why give me an accursed plant if it's causing you problems? I'm running a business. Oh, it's Simone. Hello, Simone. Hellbore. Always a pleasure, my feline friend. I hope he hasn't been nibbling the plants again. Yeah. I have a favor to ask. You owe me for the hours I spent digging out the information on those plants, yes? I've been burning the midnight oil again and could use some common trowels. I know where to find it. According to the Gary's herbology, it grows in abundance on Red Pike. I'll come by the day after tomorrow to collect it. I have business in the meantime. Okay. I got you. Thank you for the info. We'll go grab that right now so that we have it, and we'll put it aside for her later. Shattered rock debris and withered bones. Actually, this is the wrong one, but I'm going to read it anyways because I don't think we've been here. A name believed to be diverted from the Old Norse, which translates as the fell with the bald summit. As I arrive on its rocky top, looking over, all I see that name seems particularly apart, but beautiful. But the beauty of this place is lost on me. A place for the gods, if there ever was one. That's kind of cool. Okay, so I went to the wrong one because I was like, I saw pike and I wasn't paying attention to the red pike one versus the mountain one. But that's cool. Like I said, there's lots of like locations on the map that don't really get used outside of just being markers. I'm kind of sad that they don't use them, but if they choose to end up making more games with this exact map, then I can see it being important to have holes in the map, if that makes sense. Because with the new game coming up, the sequel to this, it's not a continuation of Horticulture itself. It's a continuation of a different company, or a different building, but same town, same layout and stuff. I like the fact that we go into Undermere a little bit more detailed, and we don't really go past Undermere really. But I do think that it's cool because you can theoretically open up that can of worms if you wanted to, where you can actually have you can have an adventure in this area in a different game because it's all taking place in the same world, just different time frames and different dramas occurring. I enjoy a pleasant stroll on the fell. The going is easy and the weather is agreeable, but the view is magnificent. I do not have to look hard to find what I'm looking for or what I'm after. Yeah, it's like all over the hills, I think she said. Alright, so this one isn't labeled, but we're going to keep it down here like it's labeled because we know what it's going to be. It's going to be her plant. Let me just go ahead and label it, actually. Since I already know since this was like a dead giveaway one. Let's see. There we go. Hello, Veronica. Verona. Sorry, it's not Veronica. There's no C in there. Verona. When you work with the occult, I find it pays to uphold a certain image. If you're going to be accused of performing witchcraft anyway, it doesn't hurt to put a little bit of show every now and then. Let the proprietors know that punters, I guess? I think it's punters. Know I'm capable of this of sort of things. Long story, I may have threatened to turn a small boy into a toad, and the little booger called my bluff. Oh, don't look at me like that. You know how little boys are like. And I can assure you he deserved to be turned into a toad. Anyways, I think a little display is needed to discourage this sort of behavior in the future. Have you any slimmer along? I think it's the one I got from... That one. From them. There we go. I really should put this like right here and then do that. There we go. Okay. Hellborn, I know you're sleepy. I know cats sleep for several hours, but you have to wake up. We have customers coming. At the very least, don't get startled by the bell. There's a beautiful plant that I've been looking for all over, but nobody seems to have any. Something. Monk do? I'm not sure. I do know that you shouldn't touch the leaves, though. This one? Yeah. It's funny that you know that, but that one weirdo doesn't know that. Magic! It's a shame he doesn't seem to read into it, does it? It's an X. Time passed, a year, then another. The book remained hidden, but out of sight. Did not mean out of mind. The book was what her thoughts settled on when she was rested, what she brewed over when she did her chores, what she pictured when she dreamed. Oh no, the temptation to be evil is very strong. You must resist, girly pop. If you do not resist, it will consume. And if it consumes, you will be lost. Simple as that. Yeah. The gentle sound of flowing water, the sunlight through scattered clouds, a reset. We'll stick these up here. Come closer. I might start putting some of them on the shelf and just so that I don't have to sit there and fight with them as much. As funny as it is, it's really not convenient. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. You can get a hold of them a lot easier. Alright, Hellborn, you gotta wake up. You got to start the day. It's all rainy. Wipe your boots. Oh, it's you. The Fox button was no help, I'm afraid. The Sisterhood still refuses to speak openly with me. Not that I have the time to pursue it properly. I'm rushed off my feet this week. There's been a body found on the side swine stone circle, and apparently it's a grisly one. Don't suppose you've got anything to help keep my lunch down. My stomach never copes too well with the grisly ones. Yes, I do have that. Alright, good luck. Man, trying to do an investigation on a body in the rain would be awful. It washes away so much evidence. Morning. Verona Green handed me this for you. She seemed to be in a good mood. I bet she was. She probably harmed that child. Scared the tar out of him. I meant to tell you this yesterday, but it slipped in my mind. I discovered a plant on a recent trip to Grizzledale Forest, but just northeast of Rustland. It was nothing like I'd ever seen before. I would have brought it back with me if the Sisterhood hadn't given me a moment alone, but they seemed overly protective lately. Yeah, it's because someone got poisoned. You said it was northeast of here, right? Yes. Wait to actually see it. From the moment I stepped off the road, I can't shake the feeling I'm being watched. Suddenly I find my way blocked by 3 women wearing green cloaks and holding short elbows. Nobody may wander freely through the forest by the order of the abbey. Says, your abbey's dead, says the leader of the trio. I turn to walk back, but then again, I have a few tricks up my sleeve. Yes, so they want the plant, I think, that they just gave us. I think it's this one? Yeah, it's that one. They gave us the pass to come through their forest, basically. Okay, we're doing mellow. Mellow glow, mellow glow. No! With the help of the mellow glow, I walk right past the sisters, without them paying me any heed. Chuckling to myself, I collect the plant that Verona talked about and take my leave. Yeah, that's right. New plant! Okay. Alright. Oh no, it's what's-her-face. Hello! I'm afraid. The company you gave me, is helping me sleep, but I'm very grateful. The visions are as strong as ever. The woman in the jade mask appears in my dream every night. She screams at me, but I do not know why, and behind her, that presence is always there, dark and dreadful. I don't know what to do. The dream feels like a warning, but I don't understand a monica of color that refuses to come into focus. Some part of me wants to stare down that abyss, but I am afraid. Okay, let me see my notes real quick. I need to see if I need to do anything extra here. I do not. We're on day 4. Yeah, I don't need to necessarily give her anything, but we're gonna give her candlewood this time because we're gonna be kind to her. Oh, which one was it? I don't remember what candlewood looked like. I keep thinking of that one. I always think it because it looks like a candle, but it's not. It's a red protruding flower that provides shielding effects. Oh yeah, it's this one. This one to me doesn't look like candlewood, but it is. But it doesn't. I don't know. I think it made to me if it looked like thin candles, like the leaves are brown. I probably would have thought of it. The other one looks more like a candle than this one does. But it is what it is. We're gonna do that. We'll play nice with her this time. And I'm also not gonna kill the other guy. I'm just gonna make him forget. We don't come to Undermere often, but I heard about your shop, and I said to Francis, we simply must pay a visit. It's a wonderful breath of life in an otherwise dreary town. I'm the green finger one, and it's not really his cup of tea, but I pursued him the trip that would do him some good, and besides he'll be wanting to take a boat on the lake. Shame about this awful weather though. You must come to Sizle? We have a small library with some books and on plants that my grandfather acquired many years ago. I am sure that you will be interested in as a horticulturist yourself. Okay. We'll go ahead and do that. This one is a lot of reading with this one, but it's very fascinating how she's like shoved around. I am greeted enthusiastically by Lady Isabeth herself. She is very talkative and has many questions on horticulture that I do my best to answer. She takes me on a tour of the gardens. Oh, you must take a sample of this back with you, she exclaims, pointing out a plant that I do not recognize. But before I can stop to take a look, she has already whisked me on to the next. Oh, and this one too, she says. Yeah. I am quite exhausted by the time we make it to the library, and I don't have the time to make as thorough a study as I would like. Nonetheless, am able to find an interesting entry that I wrote note down. Don't forget these, Lady Elizabeth cries as I make to leave. She thrusts the plants from the gardens into my hands, and I thank her warmly. I like how the way that's read, like the way it's wrote. I feel exhausted for her. I'm just like, oh, this is exhausting. This is rough. It's a lot of socializing all of a sudden. idiot. Hate to wake you up every 5 minutes, but we have customers coming in. Alright. Mushroom. Red spores. Moves in the dark. That's all I got. Any idea? I think it's this one he wants. Yeah. Because I remember the wandering bow is that. Okay. Hello, what can I get you, my dear? They're saying Blackcomb is haunted now. Well, I mean... Bradley Miller told me that he saw the ghost of a haunted, hungry, huge deer, antlers and all, but Bradley Miller also says he can talk to squirrels. Either way, there's something evil in those hills, and I'm not taking any chances. Awful what happened to that poor young man on Sides 1. I've come to... for some stinking cap, which is this. So it's called Sweet. I remember I need to like fix this because I think somebody refers to it later by name and not by stinking cap. There you go. I think it's how you can see the flies still buzzing around it. So nasty. So nasty. But like, fair. At 15, her mother, strong, dependable, loving, was struck down. The girl drew inward as her father turned to the drink and leaving her alone. See, I don't know. I read that and it makes me sad. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. I feel like I could cling harder to people I care about in that moment. But I'm also a soft-hearted weakling. Like, I tend to, like, cry on people's shoulders when I'm very upset about things. She lived in the castle to the northwest of the abbey. Okay. She buried her husband 3 miles to the east where the Everheart grows. See, this is the other thing, dude. This makes me sad. Here. 1, 2, 3. She buried her husband. It's just 3. Make sure. Also, this is the sad part. It's the fact that this tree is broken. So when she buried her husband, the tree was strong, and now it's struck by lightning and not. Okay. The dead tree, its bark cracked and blackened by fire. Standing alone on the hillside, off to the one side, a patch of flowers grows on a lone mound. Do you think that this is symbolic of the girl who just lost her mom in the story? Or do you think that this is her husband? I don't know if the main villain in the story is actually married. But that'd be messed up. She lost her mother and her husband. But I think that this is just supposed to be symbolic of the detective's loss. You know, like how horrible it would be to bury your loved ones. My dad always said that, as far as children go, he goes, burying your partner is hard enough, but burying your child before you die or your partner dies, he goes, is a crime. The worst kind of crime. My mom and dad both agree that, but they both like kids. So they agree that a child's death is so much worse. And in a way, he abandoned his daughter, and in a way, he kind of did lose both of them. You know, he lost one to death, and then one to his lack of will, or his will to hang in there. Because, like, I know grief is rough, but you also have responsibilities to yourself and other people to recognize when you're spiraling, you know? It's not like when you trip and fall and your body just does what it does, you know? I must thank you. Last night, for the first time in weeks, my mind has cleared. I am no longer tormented by visions of the woman in the jade mask and that terrible monster. Now I'm wondering if you have something, some worry list to keep me over my anxious threats at bay. Yeah. Okay. I think it's this one. That's the worry list. But I want to check again. But, is that right? I think so. Yeah. I remember the leaves are weird. To me, they don't look right, but I think they're just in zoom in. Because, like, don't get me wrong, you don't have to be okay. You don't have to recover on a timeline, but you do have to recognize when you're falling. Because unlike when you fall physically, your body will do what it can do instinctively, but you emotionally can kind of grasp it. Maybe not immediately, but eventually you do have to grab hold of yourself. Pull yourself together for the sake of yourself and others. And if that means he had to walk away, he could have just put her up for adoption or gave her to a family member who could take care of her. It would have been better than him completely forsaking her and then her running off into nowhere and getting herself into trouble. You know? I met a strange man on the road not 2 days ago. Okay. Strange still, he asked after you. He said he had something for you. Don't ask me what. So I told him where to find you, but he looked stricken when I mentioned Undermere. Said he doesn't come near towns at all after if he can help it. He was headed west, at least I think he was. He said he was looking for the Wilshire Spring. I'll write it down for you. Anyways, that's my news. Did you manage to find the plant I wanted? Yes, I did. But I come from a family of chronic warriors. So we have backup plans on backup plans on backup plans. So my family already talked about like what would happen if one of us died and how we'd cope with it and what we would do. You know, my parents are always worried about that. And like, it's kind of a good thing because that now makes me a little over-prepared sometimes with certain situations, especially with things that are unplanned, devastating blows. Because my parents were so like loving and sensitive, and they did not want to experience unnecessary pain. So when they would hear about XYZ thing happening in town, like we had a situation where in the next town over, someone died in a car accident and their daughter was with them, and like he died with one of the daughters on the motorcycle with him. I think he got T-boned, and they lost both of them. And my family had talked about, my dad said that he didn't want to ride his motorcycle anymore because of that risk. He did not want to be that person. So we started thinking about what would happen if that happened to us. And it wasn't because the family did anything wrong. They didn't. It was an accident. And it was a devastating tragedy to the local town. But my dad would hear these stories, and my mom would hear these stories, and they would think of what they would do in that situation in preparing of it, because they were... we got called doomsayers in my hometown as a joke. But really, it was more that my family saw these things, and they said, oh, well, these things happen around us. We should learn from these things and be prepared for them. Granted, it doesn't change the fact that the weight of that would still be painful. And no one expects to lose your partner, but it should be something to consider. You should always consider what you should do or what you could do, or if you don't think you'd be strong enough to do it. I know, I'm almost done. If you don't know how you would react in those situations, then you need to have other people in your circle that are there to help you. So when they had the funeral for her dad or her mom, they should have leaned on somebody else. Even if he did go into the drinking stupor, at least someone would have taken care of her. Anyways, we're gonna swap games. We're gonna move to 6-sided Oracle now.
And we can just dance the night away until we get no more. I'll shake all the hurt away so you can feel and forget.